Gracias, gracias, mi gente hermosa. Thank you all for coming here today in this late transmission of Lopez Obrador conference for Wednesday, the 22nd of 2023. Thank you all for being here. Leticia Martínez, Miriam Rodríguez, Jennifer MMD. Gracias a todas y a todos ustedes. Vamos a estar escuchando la mañanera, que ya es la tarde para nosotros, aquí traduciendo para ustedes en inglés. Espero les guste, va a ser un poco largo, pero como siempre, sus likes y su presencia siempre va a ser preferida. Pero si no, ya saben, como siempre les digo, van a haber otras transmisiones en nuestro otro canal, no se olviden. Espero les guste. Gracias, amigas y amigos, por estar con nosotros tan tarde y acompañándonos en una de sus transmisiones del día, aquí con el presidente de México, López Obrador. Va a ser a esta misma hora todos los días de ahora en adelante. Gracias de veras por acompañarnos. Empezamos. Si no se pueden quedar todo el tiempo, no se preocupen, ¿eh?
Se hizo tarde, ánimo.
Good morning, it was a little late.
Bueno, pues
well,
hoy es miércoles.
Today is Wednesday.
Y corresponde
and
a la sección de quién es quién en las
we're going to be seeing the section of who is who in the lies, since it's just a small example. It's not even statistically representative of what's really happening, because lies are everywhere and manipulation as well. Not in all the media, of course. Only in the majority. And there's some honorable exceptions, and nothing to do with you. It's another thing to do with you guys. We are taking over and doing a transformation, and we are unmounting this regiment, corruption, injustices, and privileges that there used to prevail. Their press, like their intellectuals. And so, that's the phenomena. That's the transformation. Because the country needed it. We didn't come from a crisis. We came from a decadence. A process of degradation, progressive. The thing about Garcia Luna yesterday, that's part of it. And how do you confront a decadence like that? A process of degradation, progressive degradation, that not only has to do with the economical, but with every realm of the public life, with the social, with the politic, with the morals. How does one work with that? With a transformation, tearing from roots that old regimen of corruption, of injustices, complicities, privileges, and that, well, it's hard, and that we need to celebrate that we're doing it in a peaceful way, because in the independence, when the Pastor Hidalgo was a pacifist, there was violence. And in the reform, that is the second transformation, there was violence. And in the revolution, Madero was a pacifist as well. He was obligated to call upon the people to take up arms against the dictatorship, because he didn't have another option.
pero hubo violencia, mucha
but there
violencia.
was violence, a lot of
Y
violence.
ahora
And now
estamos logrando este cambio
we
de
are
fondo
getting this
sin
change, a deep
violencia,
change without violence,
porque tanto quienes estamos
because
impulsando la transformación
all of us that
como
were
los que se
pushing the
oponen
transformation and those that oppose it
no
don't
están
or
utilizando
aren't utilizing
la vía armada o la
the
violencia,
armed way of dealing with things
es
and
el
the
debate,
violence. It's the debate,
son los cuestionamientos, las
the
críticas
questioning,
en
the
la
critical,
prensa,
the criticism in the
las
press,
manifestaciones como
the
la que va a haber
manifestations
el
like the
domingo
one this Sunday.
en
Besides,
defensa
we're going to be there Sunday,
del
so
régimen de corrupción,
in defense
eso
of the
es
corruption
esa
regimen.
manifestación,
That's what the
para defender
manifestation on Sunday is going to
al
be,
viejo régimen
to defend the old regimen,
corrupto.
corrupt regimen.
Los que van a participar,
Those that are going to
pues vienen a
participate,
eso.
well, that's what they're going to be there for.
¿O ustedes creen que vienen por la ley
Or,
electoral?
or do you guys really think they're going to be there because of the electoral law situation?
No. Vienen a decir,
No. They're there, they're going to be there.
el INE no se toca,
INE cannot be touched.
Pero
That's what
también-
they're going to say.
García Luna no se toca.
Garcia Luna is untouchable as
Y en el
well.
fondo es
And on the deep end
el
of it,
régimen
it's the regimen,
corrupto y conservador.
corrupt
no
and
se toca.
conservative, that is untouchable.
Para eso es.
That's what they're going to be there
Pero
for
es
on Sunday.
bueno.
But that's good.
Tenía tiempo que no se daba una
There
situación
was
así.
a long time since we didn't have that type of situation.
Entonces vamos a ver qué trae Elizabeth.
Let's see what Elizabeth
Gracias,
has.
señor presidente. Con su permiso, buenos días a todas y a todos.
Buenos días,
Hoy
good morning
es
to
22 de
everybody.
febrero
Today
de
is
2023,
22nd of
y
February,
esta es la sección ¿Quiénes quieren las mentiras de la
2023, and this
semana?
is the
Vamos
section
a
of Who's
iniciar
Who in the Lies. We're
con la
going to
primera.
start with the
Una
first.
cosa es
One
que
thing
la
is
oposición busque
that the
las
opposition
manzanas
looks
podridas,
for the
y
rotten
otra,
apples, and
muy
another,
distinto, que haya
very
medios
distant,
que
that
solo
there are
informan las
media
podridas.
that only inform
Hace
what they
unos días, el
want.
presidente Andrés Manuel
A
López
few days
Obrador
ago, the
inauguró la
President
vía
Andrés
que
Manuel López
conecta
Obrador
Puerto Rico en
inaugurated
Ecatepec al Aeropuerto
the
Internacional
bridge that led to
Felipe
the
Ángeles.
International
Es una
Airport
vía de
Felipe
14
Ángeles. This is a
kilómetros
way
y 6
of
carriles
14
que se
kilometers
pueden
and 6
recorrer en 10 minutos,
lanes, and
lo
it
que
can be
acortará
run in
tiempos de
6
llegada
minutes,
al nuevo aeropuerto.
which will
El
shorten
tramo
the
permitirá
arrival
traslado de la
times. The
Ciudad
travel
de
will allow
México
the
a La
travel
Isla
from
en
Mexico
50
City
minutos y
to IFA in
requirió una
50
inversión
minutes,
de
and it required an
7.500
inversion or
millones de
investment
pesos
of
que
more
fueron
than
proporcionados
7,000
por
million
el Fondo
Mexican pesos,
Nacional
who
de
were
Infraestructura.
provided for
Además de los
or by
beneficios
the
para el AIFA, la nueva
structural
carretera promete posibilidades
departments.
de
And then this
desarrollo
road
urbano en la zona
allows
de la
urban
construcción.
development in the construction zone.
Sin embargo,
Nevertheless,
eso no le gustó a la oposición
the
y los
opposition
medios
didn't
de
like that,
comunicación
and the
convencionales que al unísono
communication
comenzaron a
media, the
publicar
conventional
críticas
ones, started
que la vía no
right away
estaba
criticizing
terminada
that
y se
the
encontraba cerrada.
way was
Tales
closed
como
and was
Azucena
not
Oresti,
opened,
Ciro Gómez Leiva
such as Ciro
y
Gómez
Carlos
Leiva,
Loret de Mola.
Oresti, and
Los
Carlos
dos
Loret de Mola.
primeros
The
con
first
un
two
discurso
with
muy
a
similar.
very
Vamos a ver
similar
este video.
way of giving their news. Let's see.
El punto es que no está abierta esta vialidad, solamente inaugurada.
Well, the
como en los
point is
tiempos priistas,
that this is
Azucena.
not open, just like on the pre-times. This is not open. So if anybody took the inauguration in serious, I can imagine all the people suffering.
Se inauguró, pero no
And
está
so it was
funcionando.
inaugurated, but it's not working.
No está funcionando.
It's not working. Oh, so it's not
hemos
working.
escuchado esto
When have we heard this before?
Mucho tiempo, muchas veces. De hecho, es
A long
un
time.
distintivo de la
It's that we haven't seen this, and it's actually a distinctive way in the political life of Mexico, because the governor, the mayor, the president of the Mexican countries in the country, and as soon as they leave, they start working supposedly, but we are seeing that it's not finished. And so he raffled the plane without raffling it, inaugurated an airport without airplanes, and now he opens up a road for access, and that was closed. As well as SDP Noticias, Financiero, El Sol de México, Publímetro, among others, repeated the same lie. This just inaugurated road was closed a few hours so it could be cleaned and retrieve some material and vehicles of construction. In front of these attacks, there was the answers of the citizens that that way is open, as the own webpage users and ethical journalists allowed us to see. We're going to see a tweet from Juan Moreno that said, "I just did 38 minutes from Condesa to the international airport. The road just recently inaugurated. The one that they're saying that is closed, well, it so happens that is open." And a second example is the reporter Yvette Castillo, with her watch on hand, also publicized the way and the timing, 10 minutes from Ecatepec to Haifa, with the new road that our president inaugurated. And by the way, if the traditional media are saying that it's closed, it is open and in very good conditions. Thank you very much, AMLO. But as always, it didn't stop then, because Carlos Loret de Mola went crazy last Monday when the president said that he was lying. So if he didn't lie, why did he erase the tweet that he said that the road was closed? Here's an image of that tweet that Loret de Mola erased. And to add to the anger that the opposition has, we want to show you how some of the YouTubers most influencing in Latin America, was talking about the international airport, and they accused him of doing some prepaid propaganda, which he, of course, proved them wrong. It's another lie, because he added, let's say, Gosita, the time was okay. We did 56 minutes in total. And wow, I gotta say, the arrival to the airport is impacting. You can see that you can arrive to an airport where you feel that is brand new, like the original airport. There are very few things that make them seem old, but this one really looks good. The infrastructure, the design is kind of big. First impression, first impact, very good. Juanito says a very good partner of ours, so it really feels good. It's nice, it's ample, modern, these little stands, so you can charge your phone, little details. The check-in zone is not bad. It's really ordered up, it's worked discreetly. In the restrooms, look at the restroom, it's beautiful. The Olmeca restroom, reflecting a little bit of the Mexican culture. It's really good. These are censored toilets, Spanish and English. This is how I loved it, like if it was a pyramid. We keep running around, and this I loved, and this you're going to think very obvious, but it's really important, and we don't have this in the other airport. These big screens that show the flights, and we're going to go to the arrival zones. I almost feel like if I was in Turkey, in Istanbul, that I'll show you a few times. We can see the parking lot, different levels in the parking lot. It's really good. It's modern, and listen to me, very good. I didn't have to pull out my computer from my bag, and that happens in very few airports. Look at this, huh? I like the tones on this. Some celebrating people. I love this. What a real beautiful restroom. And I said it very few times in this video. I'm really amazed. And so you can call your mother, so you have the charger everywhere and the seats. You relax until you get your airplane to the departure and the strip. The airport is great. It's a little bit far from the city. It's a little costly to get here. It's not completely functioning. But in general, I've liked it a lot. It's very modern, beautiful, efficient, and we'll see in the future how this is up and keeps going. Before we continue, of course, we recommend to the members of the opposition not to eat avocado because they're probably going to get sick if they do. Now, we'll go to the next one. Then, as to how a reporter has more ethical standards than their media. In 19th of February, Proceso news magazine reported saying new winners and businesses in the army, assuring that the Mexican government has done contracts with Idman Company for $433 million, which was totally false. Proceso publicized this in their paper edition and their websites, but never up until the current time, they've never reached so many contracts, so juicy, and extend themselves from the textile workers and move on to spare parts for army, weapons, and vehicles. When they got a contract for $433 million. Said contract was adjudicated to Inman as a result of the licitation of international public realm. This is totally false. From this mentioned licitation by processes, this was the only purchase. 42,030 gas dispensers for an amount of $432,909, meaning 8 million pesos, and not for $433 million, as the newspaper said. But the reality is that they added a few zeros on there. Instead, it was 433 million. It's a small difference, of course. Proceso's reporter recognized their error, and the newspaper preferred using the response from yesterday to say that this was confirming the information. There's no ethics. And we'll leave it at that because so you can judge for yourself. And we have a big jewel here from Enrique de la Madrid. This one, they don't need to prove wrong here. He says, a money that is stable is a weak economy.
¿Qué opinas?
What do you think
Aseguró que un tipo, Enrique de la Madrid,
that
asegura
a person, Enrique
que
de la
un
Madrid,
tipo de
assures
cambio estable
that a
es
type of
resultado de una
change,
economía
stable
que
change, is a
no ha
result of an
crecido
economy
en
that
4
hasn't
años?
grown
Vamos a escuchar
in
lo que
4
dice
years. Let's
Enrique.
listen to this guy and see what he says.
Cuando el peso se devalúa,
When obviously when the peso goes down, it means that the economy is bad. For example, in the 80s, when the great devaluation came in, it really came in that we were coming from governments that had spent much more than their income, and mainly because our economy depended on the oil. When the prices of oil went down and stopped arriving, the dollar stopped arriving. That's why the exchange in money went down. But nowadays, a strong money is at the deep end is because the economy is weak. First, since we have 4 years since the economy hasn't grown, it doesn't mean that we matter a lot or that we need dollars. Second, we have very good exportation because we signed a freedom of commerce treaty about 30 years, and North Americans are using our services, and they pay us in dollars and send us dollars. And third, the money that is sent, the dollars that has been sent to Mexico, is triple, and that is because in the U.S. they did help out the North Americans when the pandemic was on, and the Mexicans that were over there know about the necessities of our families, and that's why they sent us dollars. And fourth, we are giving away interest rates because people there can save at a 6% rate. We are giving away 11% of interest rates. And what did they do? They bring their money to Mexico. That's why a stable dollar or stable peso means a weak economy. So there you go. No comments on that one. Well, maybe one. Let's remind Enrique de la Madrid, the ex-president's son, when your father governed, the peso went down 1,000%. Oh, but here it is. Here's a chart. There you go. Look at it. 1,747.0%. The peso went down. And let's go to the next one. Look at this chart. The trial against Genaro Garcia Luna and the decision of the jury that found him guilty of February being a part of the Cartel de Sinaloa made the opposition go crazy and calling him that he is in denial. And this trial where he was placed as a guilty person, the opposition went away and started going crazy because they left the politic ways of working of Fox and Calderon in the wrongest of ways of working and leave him in a shadow. And more because he is guilty, Garcia Luna, with the organized crime, conspiracy to distribute cocaine internationally, conspiracy to take cocaine to different states and lie in his intent to become a U.S. citizen. Friends of Garcia Luna keep defending him or even say that he's innocent. And as well, President Calderon is being exonerated, whom is not even being asked if he knows about the bribes with Cartel de Sinaloa and Genaro Garcia. Here, we're going to give a few examples. Joaquin López Dóriga sticks out the mention to Garcia Luna and dedicated one tweet only to give the news that Garcia Luna was declared guilty, and an entire section with 3 tweets where he underestimates the guiltiness and the sentencing of the court. And one of them says the government did not have any viable proof to corroborate the testimony, this giving the voice to the lawyer of Garcia Luna. And as well, we can see Maria Amparo Casar, that director of Organization Mexican Against Corruption. She goes out defending Garcia Luna. Let's see this video real quick. Only one crime will be of lying in his application, because he lied in the application, but that takes a lesser charge, and that he already it's been 3 years, so he can walk out jail of New York's jail. I would add 2 things here to the table. One, Mexico's lost, because we have been exhibited in a way very sad, horrible. In a lot of aspects, yes, it's true. And Mexico in the image loses, but we, the country. And do you remember the ex-wife of Calderon's president, wife, in Tribune came out to see that a government that was confronting the organized crime and there wasn't any pact with criminals. What is she going to say? Riva Palacio as well has asserted that Garcia Luna and Calderon are distracting others, and is actually saying that the trial of Garcia Luna is because of delinquency of white-collar crimes, administrative crimes. Well, and not because of working with narcos. That's why Riva Palacio said it. Let's see the video of Margarita Zavala. A brave government that confronted the organized crime from 2006 to 2012. There wasn't one pact political with any criminals at all. Let's not forget those words. We continue with Raimundo Riva Palacio. He says in Brooklyn, not only is Genaro Garcia Luna in trial, but Mexico is as well. Not only his reputation is going to be in ruins, but as well as a country incomplete and full. And he added, the crime against Genaro Garcia Luna gives Lopez Obrador some oxygen and new preoccupations or worries to Calderon. But the guiltiness sends to the intelligence service of the U.S., with whom they were working with for 30 years. Irving Gatell, on his side, also writes about the same thing. He writes a long tweet and says, the declaration of culpability of Garcia Luna in the 5 charges that were raised in New York is catastrophic and unexpected. And who has to worry more about this is Lopez. I'm going to explain to you why. It wasn't only Garcia Luna that was exhibited as a narco-trafficker, and it wasn't only Calderon's timing in presidency, but it was all Mexican states. And Lopez has done nothing to make a change about this. In the contrary, let's remind these oppositional people, Genaro Garcia Luna is not Mexico. Fortunately, We are not judging a country, but an ex-public worker to work with Cartel de Sinaloa, the jury, and the prosecution that brought Felipe Calderón's case assured that Garcia Luna has made treason against Mexico, and it's not the same. Now we are attacking the causes of the violence and bring opportunities to the young people. No more discrimination to the young people, calling them ninis, whom don't work or don't study. We have more opportunities in this government for them, and we use the intelligence and not the strength of force against them and against the cartels, and also give weapons, as they did with Fast and Furious, to the criminals. But it's not the end there. Alfredo Lecona says, and meanwhile, we don't know if the prosecution leader is present there or alive or even dead. This is what Alfredo Lecona is asking, but the response about the prosecution office arrived by hand from the 17th Administrative Circuit of the trial or tribunal that revoked the sentence from another judge to take out Genaro Garcia Luna's wife from the list of persons that are being investigated by the Intelligence of Financial Services. And that's how the judges in penal codes are doing. These are the names of the judges so that everybody knows them and we don't forget them. Rolando González Licona, Eduardo Baltasar Robles, and Amanda Roberta Garcia. They are the ones that unfroze the accounts of Genaro Garcia Luna's bank accounts. Meanwhile, everybody is speaking. Oh, and we have a video about that as well. That explains a little better what I just said. I forgive him. So what am I telling you is fundamentally in this ideal, it's been said that Calderón is responsible politically and possibly in the judicial ways because he placed them there. And it's unforgivable and unbearable to know that he didn't know the acts of his Secretary of Security. Hold on, I'm going to finish. If he didn't know, he was an idiot. I love that guy. Meanwhile, everybody's speaking about Genaro Garcia Luna. Dolis Teves, journalist, was speaking of an article saying it's a demolition derby with his Obrador politics. Curiously, there's this guy named David doing some speeches for George Bush Jr. and was one of the authors of the lies to justify the invasion to Iraq from the U.S. And we'll get to that point, but at the end, we're going to show you a video about the lies of the most frequent lies during the trial to Garcia Luna in the U.S. This is courtesy of Inforenia. The verdict against Genaro Garcia Luna, where is declared as guilty that the U.S. in New York blamed them. There was a supposed intent to defend the ex-Secretary of Security in Calderón's time. One, it's false that the prosecution didn't present proof against Garcia, as commentaries, politicians, and media outlets referred to, whom also tried to minimize the declarations of the witnesses, arguing that these were delinquents. From the beginning of the trial, the Judge Brian Cogan made it known that the testimony that should be considered as proof should be on there, and these receipts of irregular pays every day to El Universal and pictures and videos of the properties of Garcia Luna. 2. It is false that the current president, Andres Manuel, was employed or working against Genaro Garcia Luna. Last 14th of February, during the questioning to Genaro Garcia Zambada, the lawyer of Garcia Luna asked the witness if he had turned in any bribes for the campaign, the electoral campaign of Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador against Vicente Fox in 2000. Jesus Zambada in turn said that he will deny all those about those bribes, and Lopez Obrador did not contend for the presidency against President Fox in 2000. Number 3, it is false that the President Lopez Obrador and the ambassador in the U.S. in Mexico, King Salazar, were the promoters of the trial against Genaro Garcia Luna. And I think it's all propaganda that the government of the U.S. is doing with this. And the ambassador Salazar has turned into a propaganda member of Lopez Obrador. In the press conference of the 8th of February, President signaled that never he had spoken to the ambassador nor to with the President of the U.S., Joe Biden, about the trial, and added that this is a process that the U.S. started, and King Salazar declared that he never had any conversation with President Lopez Obrador about Garcia Luna. Infodemia. Well, that's all, Mr. President. Thank you. Well, that was good, wasn't it?
¿Cómo? Ah, también, de una vez.
Oh, okay. Let's go with the Garcia Luna trial. This Tuesday, the 21st of February, the last day of audience in New York, the jury presented themselves in the tribunal, and her president announced that they had reached a verdict. Judge Brian Corgan received the page with the decision at 2:53 p.m. in New York time. The judge read the verdict in loud. The two judges declared, and the jury stated guilty of all charges of one of the strongest men in Mexico in security during Calderon and Fox timing. They said that he was guilty of delinquency with organized crime, conspiracy to distribute cocaine internationally, conspiration of possession of cocaine and distribution, conspiracy to import cocaine, and lie on his application to become a U.S. citizen, and stated that he never made any crimes, meaning that he denied that he did and received money from organized crime to take drugs to the U.S. There are some words that signalize that Fox and Calderon favored the cartel of Sinaloa, headed by Joaquin Guzman Loera and Ismael El Mayo Zambada. And the other one was the strong Secretary of Security, Felipe Calderon's director of the Mexican FBI, AFI, and was working with the criminals and was being hidden by the press members in the court. And he also showed that to decide the destiny of one person is one of the things that they're going to do is very important in their life. And so the marshals took him away, and up till then he sent a look and a salute to his family. Judge Corgan stated that he will be doing the final audience of sentencing in the 27th of June 2023, and he will be doing 20 to 23 years and life imprisonment for Genaro Garcia Luna. All right, let's start questioning.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Falta una compañera.
And then there's one more.
Que sean 3 y 3.
All right, so there's 3 and 3. 3 and 4.
Buenos días, señor presidente.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Carlos Montesinos de Reporte Índigo.
Carlos Montesigo, Reporte Índigo. So ask you first about the case of Garcia Luna, and President Calderon is not in this. He says that his strategy did not depend on one person. First, ask you your opinion about this answer from Calderon. And what's next? After this, as the video mentions, throughout the trial was mentioned, Calderon was mentioned, Fox was mentioned. What is the next step in the judicial plan here in Mexico? Well, what I consider is, first was what was Elizabeth saying and underlining so we can understand it correctly. Garcia Luna, even Felipe Calderón, the current president, we're not Mexico. We are representatives of a country. Mexico is a people.
Equiparar.
Let's not compare everybody with them. That is wrong. If they are trying a Mexican public servant, it's not a trial for the Mexican people. That to put and leave as a manifest. And even I would say that it helps to keep cleaning, per se, corruption in Mexico. A trial like that of course, there's more to come still. This is just the beginning. It's already a good contribution, but it could be a lot bigger, this assistance, this help. Because at the end of the day, what we need to keep as a lesson is that it never has to be repeated. We never have to go through this again. The no repetition is what we're looking for. Of the acts of governors, governments, corrupt governments, that this is not allowed to happen again, that we can eliminate corruption. So that's an advancement as well, to have that purpose. We just need to more information. We need more information. For example, there's this group that they're talking about. There's actually an outline that was made, and that's how the deal was made, and that's how they did it there with the prosecution. A pact that started and was working from the government, but then
¿Qué no sabía el presidente?
Did the president know? The current president then?
Yo en su momento
When I had the
definí
chance
tres
then,
hipótesis. Una,
I defined three
que todo era una invención
hypotheses. That
y
all
que
of this was a
García Luna
creation
era
and that
inocente.
Garcia Luna was innocent.
Por lo mismo, Felipe Calderón
And therefore,
no tenía
Felipe
nada
Calderon was
de qué
also
preocuparse.
innocent and had nothing to worry about.
Ya vimos que eso
Now we've seen that
no es
that
así.
is not what it is.
Lo segundo es
Second
que, en efecto,
is that in
García
fact,
Luna responsable, culpable,
Garcia Luna is responsible, guilty,
pero
but
Calderón no sabía.
Calderon didn't know.
Y tres,
And third,
García Luna
that
responsable,
Garcia Luna is responsible,
culpable,
guilty,
con
with
la anuencia
the nuance
de Calderón.
from Calderon.
Entonces, lo que responde ayer Felipe Calderón
So what Felipe Calderon responded yesterday has nothing to do
con el tema
with the
en
subject.
cuestión se va por la tangente.
It takes
Se
a
va por lo que ya
deviation
sabemos.
and
Dijo
goes with what we know
que él enfrentó con toda la fuerza a la delincuencia. Eso es lo que ha sostenido siempre y es lo que llevó a
and
declarar
he
la
said he
guerra
wasn't guilty
contra el narcotráfico.
and that what he was doing was justified to declare war
Es un poco
against
lo que
narco trafficking.
sostuvo en su
It's a little bit with
momento Díaz Ordaz.
what in its moments Diaz Ordaz did and sustained
Después del 68.
after the 68
Yo
situation.
soy responsable
I am responsible, he said,
porque lo que planteó ayer
because what
fue
he was
eso,
saying
que ya
and
lo
what he said
sabíamos.
yesterday that we already knew. that
estilo autoritario de querer
this authoritarian
enfrentar la
way
violencia con la violencia,
to want to confront violence with violence,
enfrentar el mal con el
to
mal,
want to confront the
de
bad
querer
with
apagar
the
el fuego
bad,
con el fuego.
try to turn off fire with
Que
fire.
es muy
That is really
característico
characteristic
del pensamiento conservador.
of conservative thinking.
Eso es lo que
That's
él
what it
planteó.
is. That's what he planted then.
Pero eso ya lo sabemos.
But that we know about.
Y ya sabemos también cómo fracasó
And we also know
esa
how
estrategia,
that strategy failed,
porque a partir de ahí
because from there,
se desató esta violencia que
this
todavía
violence was
se padece en el país.
opened up that we still have in the country.
Sí,
Yes.
y así como Calderón
And
piensan muchos.
That's how Calderon and a lot more people are thinking that they're going to resolve the problem with the violence and this insecurity with only the use of force. Our strategy is totally different.
Nosotros
We,
lo que sostenemos es que hay que tener
what we are
las causas.
sustaining is we need to take care of the causes, what originates the violence.
Apoya al pueblo,
That the people have assistance, that the poor get assistance, that the young people get ways to grow and work,
pero eso
that spiritual
no tiene que
and
ver con el pensamiento
moral
conservador.
thinking is strengthened. But that doesn't have anything to do
Para ellos,
with the conservative movement.
lo importante es
For them, the important thing is to take over.
el mátalos en caliente,
That thing about kill them
hay
right
que
away,
desaparecerlos,
let's disappear them, torture them,
masacrarlos,
massacre them,
que fue lo que sucedió.
And that's what happened.
Es realmente
So that
lamentable
is really sad
el que se tenga el cinismo
that we have the cynical
de defender eso
ways to defend that.
y llamarle a eso valentía. Bueno, pero
Well,
eso, como dije, ya
that, as I said before,
lo sabemos y no
we know
solo
that.
es
And it's not only
privativo de Calderón, así piensan los conservadores.
something
Los que
from
van a estar
Calderon.
aquí.
That's how the conservatives are thinking, and the ones that are going to be here.
Los que sí, los
Yes.
que sostuvieron el que
The ones that
haya
held
sido
up
como haya sido.
what was
O sea, ese es uno.
the way it was and
Pero aquí
however
el
it
fondo
was, and that's
del
one.
asunto
But in the
es
deep
lo que
end,
se omite.
is what is not being said.
¿Cuál es la explicación que le vas a dar al pueblo de México
What's the explanation you're going to give to the people of Mexico
sobre
about
el por qué
the why?
nombraste a García Luna?
Why did you name Garcia Luna as?
Y si sabías o no sabías.
And if you knew or you didn't know,
Y sobre eso
and on that
es que queremos
is that we want
información.
information.
Eso es lo que queremos.
That's what we want.
Esa es la explicación que estamos esperando. Primero,
That's what we're waiting
Luego.
for, the first. And then
todavía hay la posibilidad de que García Luna
the possibility that Garcia Luna
se declare
is declared
como testigo.
as a witness.
Y yo diría,
And I would say,
como presidente de México,
as
por el bien
Mexican
del
president,
país,
for the good of the
que
country,
ojalá y lo haga.
that hopefully he does that.
A cambio
In exchange,
de que informe
that he informs
sobre si recibía órdenes
whether he received orders or that he informed
a los expresidentes,
ex-presidents,
tanto a Fox,
whether it was Fox or Calderon.
a Fox cuando estaba en el AFI,
Fox when he was in AFI, and Calderon when he was Secretary
de seguridad.
of
Y
Security.
otra cosa también muy importante,
And another thing really important,
que es bueno para México y es bueno
that
también para Estados
what
Unidos.
is good for Mexico is good for the U.S.,
¿Cuáles eran
which was
sus vínculos
their
con las autoridades de Estados Unidos?
vinculation with the U.S. authorities.
Porque fue hasta premiado
Because he was even
por
condecorated
autoridades de Estados Unidos.
and awarded by the U.S. authorities.
Y no puede ser
And it can't be that
que tampoco supieran.
they didn't even know as well.
Porque lo de Rápido y Furioso
Because that about
fue una
Rapido,
acción concertada.
Fast and Furious was a situation that was set,
Y eso tampoco está.
and that is not even on the
Me
table.
llamó mucho la atención.
The attention was
El
really
abogado
called in that the lawyer, Garcia Luna's lawyer,
no planteando esto.
he didn't even mention that.
O sea, ser elemental
That was
para
really
defender
strong to defend
a su
his clients.
mal abogado.
Bad lawyer. Is that what it was?
¿O qué es lo que
Or
hubo
what
en
is
todo
it
esto?
that was there in all this?
Luego, por lo que me preguntas,
And then
fíjense cómo está
about
el
what you're
Poder
asking,
Judicial
look at what the judicial
de
power
nuestro país, lamentablemente.
is going through, sadly.
El día que están juzgando
The day that they're trying
a García Luna,
Garcia Luna,
acá un magistrado del Poder Judicial,
a magistrate here of the judicial power,
un tribunal
a tribunal
del Poder Judicial,
of the judicial power,
tres magistrados,
three magistrates,
dos hombres y una mujer,
two men, one woman,
descongelan las cuentas
they open up the accounts,
de la
the bank
esposa de
accounts
García
of the Garcia Luna's wife.
como lo hicieron
How did they do it?
con otro acusado,
With another
Cárdenas Palomino.
Cardenas
Sí, el Poder
Palomino,
Judicial
another
de
one that
nuestro
was
país
being
requiere,
blamed.
como lo hemos venido
So
planteando,
it's been required that, as we've been
una
saying,
profunda
a
reforma.
reform, in-depth reform,
Jueces, magistrados,
judges,
ministros,
magistrates, ministers,
y no dejar eso
and not let
en el olvido. Hay que
this
seguir
in
demandando
forgetfulness. Let's continue
reforme
to
el Poder Judicial
demand
y que
that
se
the judicial
purifique
power
la vida pública.
reforms and that the public life
Esa es la transformación.
purifies. That's the transformation.
Nosotros vamos a esperar
So we
el que va a suceder,
will be waiting to see what happens.
porque según entiendo,
Because from what I know,
se está proponiendo de 20 años como mínimo
there's a proposal of at least 20 years minimum or
perpetua.
life in
Cadena
prison.
perpetua. Pero
But
es probable
it's probable that
si puede contribuir entregando información que
if he could
ayude
contribute to turn in information that helps
a seguir
to
combatiendo
combat, to keep combating
el narcotráfico y sobre todo la asociación delictuosa
narco traffickers
entre
and
autoridades
above all
y delincuentes,
delinquency in between authorities and delinquency
sería muy bueno.
would be very good.
Independientemente de que
Independently
si
of if
minoran los años en
they
prisión,
minimize their years in prison, or
imagínense lo que ayudaría.
just imagine what that could do for the country
¿Por qué?
and for everybody. It would help.
Repito, esto
Because I'll say it again,
significaría
this would mean
que nunca más
that never again
se volvería a caer
would this be imposed or befall on us.
esta relación de complicidad, de
In this
componendas,
complicity relation of fixers, per se,
ese contubernio
that
que tanto daño
conjunction that a
le ha
lot
hecho
of
al país,
damage has done to the country,
que tiene que ver,
that has to do,
si tiene razón,
if
al 50%,
50% right, even if he's
Palacio.
50% right, Riva Palacios,
porque es
if he's
delincuencia
50%
organizada
right,
y también
if it's
delincuencia de cuello blanco.
organized crime and white collar crime as well.
Entonces, es
So
muy interesante lo que está sucediendo.
that is really interesting what's happening.
Ojalá y Calderón,
Hopefully that Calderon and
antes de que García Luna
before Garcia Luna
lo haga,
does it
si
and
es que
opens up,
toma esa decisión,
and that is if Garcia Luna takes
él
that decision,
explique.
that he can explain,
Y también
that Calderon
Fox.
can explain, and even Fox can also explain,
Porque viene desde
because this comes from the AFI, the Federal Agency of Investigation, Mexican Investigation Agency.
Pero en ese sentido, presidente,
But in
por el
that sense,
momento
Mr.
no
President,
contempla usted
for
presentar una
now,
denuncia o
do
iniciar
you
un
contemplate to present a denouncement?
porque creo
No,
que es
let's
hasta
wait,
junio
because that I
la
think is
sentencia.
up
la
until
sentencia definitiva.
June,
Vamos a
the final
esperarnos,
sentencing.
este,
Let's wait,
pero y además queremos
but
más información
we want more information.
que va a salir,
That's going to come out eventually.
más información
More information
de todo esto.
Ayer,
of all
ayer
this.
los diputados de Morena en la Cámara
Yesterday,
de
the Morena
hicieron un llamado ya
public
con
servants
esta consigna de sigue Calderón,
called out
un
to
poco haciendo esta presión.
stating that Calderon was
Este,
next.
coincido en eso. Yo lo que
Well, I
creo
don't coincide
es que
with
tenemos que
that.
tener
I don't
todos
agree
los
with it.
elementos
I think we need to put all the
y pensar
proof, all the
en el bien del país.
evidence together and think on the wellness and the betterness of the country. This,
Ya
if we do
hasta
that,
donde
it's going to help us a
se
lot.
llegó ayer,
And even
es
where
una
we
contribución.
got to yesterday, it's good,
pero falta.
but we need more.
Y como el principal problema
And
de
as
México es
the
la corrupción,
main problem is the corruption in Mexico,
esto es el meollo del asunto.
this is the center of the situation.
Entonces,
That's
hay que profundizar.
so we need to deepen on that.
Porque ya hemos visto lo de
Because we've seen it
García
before,
Luna. Pero así es
this
en
Garcia
muchos
Luna
casos,
situation. But that's how it's
de cómo
in a lot of different cases.
llegan
The
los
how
servidores públicos
the public servants would get here
y
and
se enriquecen en el cargo
be enriched in their job,
y hasta se les aplaudía.
and they would even get applaud
Y era normal
in their
que tuvieran
position.
mansiones en México.
And it was a
y
normal thing for them to
departamentos en el
have
extranjero, y
expensive
vivieran
apartments and
con más
houses and apartments in the U.S.
privilegios,
and that they would
pensiones.
live with
Respecto a
privileges.
eso, ayer también Mario
And
Delgado
about that,
anunció que
Mario Delgado
Morena
also,
pedirá al INE
Mr.
que
President,
quite
Morena will
registro
ask
por considerar una
INE to take the registry of the PAN
Planteo eso.
party, political
Desde
party.
luego.
No, I don't. I'm not even thinking about that.
La dirección de
Of course,
Morena,
the Morena
los diputados,
party
pues, tienen
and
libertad,
the
¿no? de plantear
political
cosas.
workers
Yo lo que,
have liberty to plant that,
pienso
but what I
es que se
think
tiene que ir al fondo
is
del
that we need
asunto
to go deep about the situation
y de una vez sí, dejar de manifiesto
and right away put it as a manifest
se padeció
that this
durante 36 años
happened during
de una
36 years
pandilla de rufianes.
of this gang of thieves
Decía
and
Tolstoy,
ruffians,
un
hooligans.
estado que no procura la justicia
It was said before that a country
no
or
es más que
state
una
that
banda de
doesn't
malhechores.
protect justice is not
Y eso
any
fue lo que
better than
padecimos.
any gang of criminals.
Y eso es lo que quieren
And that's what we went through it. But that's what they
los
want.
que están en contra de nosotros
The ones that are against us
y en contra de la transformación.
and against the transformation,
El regreso a eso.
the return of that.
Y por eso la oposición en los
And that's why
medios,
the opposition in the media, the conventional media,
en la mayoría de los medios,
and the majority of them, of course, not in all,
pero afortunadamente la gente quiere
but
cambio,
fortunately the people want change.
quiere que
They want
ya no haya
that
corrupción,
this
que no haya
stops.
impunidad,
No corruption, no impunity.
que no se roben el dinero que es el
that the
pueblo,
money that is for the people and of the people is not stolen, that the goods of the nation is not turned into private people, nor national nor international companies,
la justicia
that justice
se aplique por parejo,
is applied equally,
no como sucede
not
todavía,
as it is happening now,
lamentablemente,
sadly,
con un poder judicial
with a judicial power
que viene del antiguo régimen,
that comes from the old
que no se ha
regimen
reformado,
that hasn't been reformed.
pero que yo no descarto
But that I don't
el que
discard,
se
of
tenga
course,
que
that
reformar a sí mismo,
it has to be reformed. And just like that,
como se tienen que reformar los medios,
like the media has to be reformed as well.
y como se tiene que seguir reformando el
And
gobierno.
how the government needs to keep reforming itself.
Ya, nunca más.
Never again.
Sí, seguramente
Do you think that'll involve any
García
other
Luna
public workers? Yes, Garcia Luna was from the AFI, the Mexican FBI. Can't hear the question, but
no dije eso.
I didn't say that.
Pues es la que todo el mundo
I said that that's the one that
Bueno, no
everybody
todo el mundo,
knows, not
fíjese.
everybody. Look, now that I
Porque
think of
antes
it, because
al pueblo se le
before
ocultaba la
the
información.
people were lied about that. It was hidden from them.
Que la gente
So,
sabía
do you think people knew
qué era el AFI?
what was AFI about?
¿Sabían
Did you know
qué hacía García Luna?
what Garcia
en el AFI?
Luna did in El AFI?
Se
Mexican
empezó a saber
FBI?
de García Luna y eso
Garcia
No todo
Luna
el
started to
pueblo.
get known, and not everybody,
a partir de que llegó a ser secretario
starting from where he
seguridad?
started being Secretary of Security
con Felipe Calderón.
with Felipe Calderon.
Y eso porque lo empezaron a encumbrar
And that because they started
los medios.
falling
¿Se
on
acuerdan
him
que
and
tenía un
started
búnker?
following him. Remember, he had a bunker.
Que por cierto,
That,
decía
by the
Rosicela
way,
que todavía
Rosicela said that it's still there.
el búnker de García Luna.
That
A ver si
Garcia
nos
Luna
invita,
bunker,
Rosicela,
maybe
para que vayan a verlo porque
if we can invite them to
de
go
los
see
primeros
it,
que
because
fueron, Ciro y
the ones that
Marín,
went over there, Marin and Ciro,
Raimundo, sí, salieron
Raimundo,
impresionadísimos, sí.
they came out impressed. They said, "Oh, wow."
Como si
As
la
if
tecnología, las cámaras, ¿sí?
technology and cameras,
Pura pantalla, ahora sí.
only a fake
Bien
situation.
apantallados.
Very impressed.
Sería bueno que fueran.
It would be really nice
que
for
se
them to go,
mostrara eso.
and that is shown.
Sí, no que
Yes,
les
of
lleven.
course. That let
Entonces,
them
ahí es cuando se empezó a saber.
let them be taken there.
Y luego
That's where it was known.
ya
Everybody started knowing what he did,
cuando se dé el caso de
and then when the case came in
la
about
ciudadana francesa,
that
de
French
Vallarta, cuando el montaje de lo de Mola,
citizen, about
ya
the
que se hace una serie,
fakeness with Lorette de Mola in the series,
pero no se sabía mucho.
but not a lot of things were known about that.
En uno de los testimonios,
It's one of the testimonies that
uno de los testigos dice que ellos mismos
one of those testimonies says that
se ponían chalecos del AFI para
they would also put in
Atacar.
some Mexican intelligence
a los contrarios.
equipment and insignia to attack
O sea,
rebel
era
contra or
se protege
cartels
a unos
that were
y
against
se
them.
combate a otros.
Some were being protected, and we were fighting others.
¿Y quiénes combatían a los otros? Los mismos
And who was combating the others? The same ones.
sicarios.
Sicarios. Killers.
Entonces sí es importante
So it is important
saber más.
to know
O sea,
more.
¿por qué lo tuvo
Why
Calderón?
did
6
Calderon have
años.
that? 6 years,
Porque no todos los secretarios
because not all
estuvieron todo el
secretary
sexenio.
members were
Este fue
there completely.
de principio a fin.
This was from beginning to end.
Igual que al secretario de la Defensa, igual
Same
que al
as
secretario de
Secretary
Marina.
of Defense, same as Secretary of
Nunca
the
vio
Navy.
nada
They
raro.
never saw anything strange.
¿Cuáles eran los acuerdos?
What were the agreements?
¿Qué órdenes
What orders? What
le daba?
requests would
Además,
they give in?
el presidente de México es el comandante supremo de las Fuerzas
And then
Armadas.
Mexican president is the supreme
Todo está
leader
en el
there.
caso del ejército.
So
por
that
escrito.
all that is in the case of the Army is in writing.
Entonces sí es
And so
importante.
that is important.
Y además que el PAN
And the political party El
pronuncie.
PAN, we can get
y
that
que se
in,
pronuncie el PRI,
and that El PRI say
o sea,
something.
la alianza conservadora.
The conservative
¿Se van a deslindar? ¿No se van a
alliance,
deslindar? ¿Van a
are they going to be
defenderlo?
with it? Are they
Ya
going to defend
estamos
it?
viendo que la señora
We're seeing it now that
María Amparo Casal lo está defendiendo.
María Amparo Casal is
Eso es
defending.
explicable porque ella
That's explainable because she
trabajó en el gobierno del PAN en
worked
gobernación.
in El PAN in government
En ese entonces,
back then
cuando García Luna estaba
when
en el
Garcia Luna was in AFI.
ella era asesor,
She was
Santiago
advisor
Krill.
of Santiago Krill,
secretario de Gobernación,
Secretary of State,
y pertenece
and
al
belonged
grupo
to the
de Aguilar Camín,
Aguilar Camil group, this
que también está
so-called professional journalist,
asociado
and is associated
con este bloque
with
conservador
this conservative bloc
y con Claudio X González.
and with Claudio X González, of course.
Pero así como ella,
But as her,
ahora falta Claudio,
now we need to hear from Claudio
que diga
to say what he has to say about this.
ojalá y ahora el domingo
And hopefully maybe on Sunday
hay un pronunciamiento conjunto
there's a
sobre
conjoint
este asunto
pronunciation about
del
this,
bloque conservador.
about this conservative bloc. In any moment, can the extradition be pronounced? Well, we need to wait since this is not over.
Vamos a esperarnos
Let's wait. Let's keep waiting
porque es muy
because
importante
it's really important
lo que han declarado allá,
what it's been declared over there,
tener todo lo que
to
van
have
a terminar
everything
resolviendo.
that they're going to end up resolving.
Y luego aquí hay denuncias, pero primero vamos.
And then here we have some complaints and denouncements.
Es lo mismo.
And what happened
Ese
to,
tiene que continuar.
it's the same.
Ese
That
sí,
needs to continue.
Es una demanda civil.
Yes, that's a civil.
El propósito es recuperar
claim.
los bienes.
The purpose is
Nosotros lo
to
que queremos es que
regain
se recuperen los bienes. Pero miren
the goods, the
lo que hace
money.
el Poder Judicial.
But look at what the judicial power does. The magistrates. Today they should have said it, something, the ministry of the court.
Cuando menos
At least
los consejeros de la judicatura
the counselors
sobre
of
este
the
asunto.
jury about this.
Ojalá
Hopefully
den una conferencia de prensa
that they give a press conference, or at least do some type of mention.
Ya sé, ¿cuál sería la
I,
excusa?
I know maybe the excuse that they would
Que los
have,
jueces son autónomos,
that the judges are autonomous,
que los magistrados son autónomos.
that the magistracy is
Entonces,
autonomous.
¿para qué está
So
el
then
Consejo
what
de la
is
Judicatura?
the adjudicature members? What are they
¿Que no es
for?
un agravio al
Isn't
Poder
it an
Judicial?
aggravant to the judicial power?
Que el mismo día
An aggravant that in the same
que
day
están
that they're
enjuiciando y declarando culpable
judging and declaring guilty
a García Luna, aquí se esté
Garcia Luna,
resolviendo
here we are
de congelar
resolving
sus cuentas.
to unfreeze the accounts for his
Se
wife.
tienen que pronunciar.
They need to say something about that.
Y también nos deben una
Also,
explicación
they owe us
periodistas
an explanation
famosos.
of the famous journalists.
¿Por qué no la autocrítica?
Why not the autocriticism?
¿Por qué la autocomplacencia?
Why the
¿Por qué no rectificar?
indulgence? Why not rectify?
Pero era
But it was
notorio
notorious
de que este señor tenía muchísimo poder.
the fact that this guy had a lot of power.
¿Y quién le da el poder? ¿Quién le transfiere, le transmite el poder
And who gives him power? Who transmits the power
a un secretario?
to a secretary?
Si los secretarios, por ley,
If the secretaries, by law,
son nombrados,
are named,
están bajo las órdenes del presidente.
under the orders of the president,
Bueno, pero ya.
but
Vamos a
okay,
esperar porque
let's
mañana
wait.
vamos a seguir con el tema.
We're going to
Y
keep
todos
talking
estos
about
días,
this and every other day here because
Adelante.
so you.
Buenos días, soy Enrique Sánchez
Good morning,
Márquez,
Enrique Sánchez
del diario
Márquez
Basta, y de
from
las
Daily
ediciones
Basta,
de Campeche, de
from
Tabasco,
Campeche,
y de
Tabasco,
Cancún,
and
del
Cancún,
Grupo Cantón.
Grupo Cantón.
Quiero solicitarle
I want
su
to
comentario, señor,
ask for a
por
commentary
el
from you
asunto que está ahorita
about
vigente,
the situation that is
donde el fondo del asunto de
being open about
García
the
Luna obliga a una
Garcia
revisión
Luna
de los
situation
partidos.
obligates a
Estamos viendo después de 12 años de periodo panista
re-observation
que
of the
están
political
surgiendo una
powers.
serie de anomalías muy concretas
We are receiving information
que
from
reflejan
a
que dejaron un
political
desastre
party
en
from
su
PAN
gestión
member
y ahorita están aflorando.
that are coming up,
No solamente en la criminalidad
not only
que
in question of
aumentó y que
criminality
dejó
and
Calderón más de 50,000
that
muertos
Calderon
en su
left more than
gestión,
50,000 dead in
también ha
his
habido
presidency,
muchos
but
resultados
there's been a lot of
graves
results,
en
grave
lo que usted
results,
ha comentado en el
in what you
aeropuerto
have
y en
commented
donde también
about
hay
on the
una
airport,
situación muy
and where
grave
there's a
en lo que
grave
se refiere al
situation when it
cártel
comes to
inmobiliario. Todo
the
esto tiene sello panista. Y yo le quiero preguntar a
situation
usted
about,
si no es el momento de dar un paso más intenso en las
and don't you
investigaciones que
think
se
that
refieren a
we
estos
should
ilícitos, a estas irregularidades,
take bigger steps
porque
to when it comes to
en
the
el
situation
cártel
here?
inmobiliario, por ejemplo,
And the
se ha hablado durante meses de este fenómeno.
situation, this
Ya
phenomena has
apenas
been
ayer
spoken
había una
about
cifra que
a
de
lot,
la
and
Fiscalía de la Ciudad de México, donde hablaban de 131 inmuebles que han sido localizados de manera irregular,
there's
de
been
edificios que
130 something real estate
y que estos
locations
eran aprovechados por
and
funcionarios
buildings
de la
that
Benito
are
Juárez, de la alcaldía Benito Juárez y la alcaldía
being taken
Miguel
advantage
Hidalgo,
of
entre
from
otros,
public
para
servants in Miguel
comprar
Hidalgo and Mexico
departamentos en
City
efectivo.
to
O
buy
sea, se ve
apartments
que estaba
in
floreciendo
cash.
mucho el
It
dinero,
basically
circulando
seemed that
mucho
money
dinero
was
entre los
flourishing
funcionarios y ellos se
among
apropiaban de
the
esas
public
propiedades.
workers, and they would take over
Pero
those
se
properties.
habla de
But
una
it's been
detención hace una
said that there's
semana
a
de Elvia N. Se habla de otra
detention of Elvia L. Sorry about
de
that.
César N.
Cesar
Acaban de
N.
detener a una hermana
They
de,
just stopped
de
one of these
que fue también
sisters
alcalde,
that was
Sofía
one of the
N.
mayors,
Y todos se
Sofia
van en
N.
ellos. Pero aquí en el fondo también hay un personaje
And
del
there's also this
pasado, el senador Miguel Ángel Mancera. Él es uno de los primeros señalados en haber
Miguel Ángel Mancera was one of the ones that was mentioned responsible with Jorge Herrera, Estable, and a whole group of people from El PAN that was taking over a lot of ground. Isn't it time to give more bigger steps about that? I think that the prosecution's Mexico City prosecution office, and they're doing well. They are grabbing the people that are responsible, of course, like Calderon yesterday. He was the only one that was, we only needed for him to say that Garcia Luna's situation was mine. It was my fault. That's all I needed. Because at the end of the day, after his text, why don't you put that on here real quick? Now everybody, all the corrupt,
consideran perseguidos.
They're considered prosecuted and chased.
Yo no conocí
I
a García Luna.
Didn't meet Garcia Luna. Calderon, maybe I saw him 10 times. Probably.
A Fox un poco más.
Fox a little more.
Muchas,
Not a lot.
Como unas 20 veces.
Maybe 20 times.
Porque siempre
because he was.
He tratado de guardar distancia.
Because I've always tried to keep my distance between them. Look at that.
La última.
The last one.
Porque todo lo demás
because everything else
es una apología
is an apology
a la violencia del Estado.
To
a que
violence
no debe de temblarnos la mano.
In the country.
Hay que
and that our hand cannot be soft and that we need to fight them with valor and against the delinquency.
Cuando el gobierno
when the government
estaba en manos de delincuentes.
Was in the hands of criminals.
Es al final. Llamo a los mexicanos a no
I call upon the Mexican people to not get distracted from the fundamentals. This doesn't work.
¿Para qué vamos a estarnos ocupando de esto?
We're going to be worried about this if it's not even fundamental then.
¿Para qué distraernos?
Why get distracted? Today's families suffer extortion, robbery, violence, and impunity of the criminals. So let's keep going with kill them on the spot. That's why the government needs to use their power to fight against the delinquency.
Y no para hacer uso faccioso
And
de la
not to
justicia
use any factorial use of
e intimidar a
justice and
críticos
intimidate
y
criticism
opositores.
and opposers.
¿Cuál intimidación?
What intimidation to criticism? What are they talking
Y
about?
opositores.
And opposing members.
Pero hay que esperar
But let's wait
que
and
se
see
termine la investigación en el caso
that the
de la
investigation
Ciudad de
ends in the case of
México. Pero
the
sí,
situation in
fue un
Mexico
fracaso
City, but it was a failure
lo de la llamada
of the
alternancia,
so-called alternance
lo del cambio
of that
en el tiempo de Fox,
change in Fox Times,
porque no solo siguieron con la misma política
but not
económica
only did they
antipopular,
continue
entreguista,
with the same political ways
sino
to turn everything in,
se vincularon aún más
but they were vinculated even
con
more
la delincuencia,
with delinquency,
se asociaron
crime. They associated with them.
con la delincuencia. Pero eso tiene que ver mucho.
But this has to do mainly with the conservative thinking.
No es así una sola persona.
It's not just one person.
Les voy a recordar algo.
And I'm going to remind you about
Lo
something.
que dijo uno que también está señalado.
What
en este
one of
asunto.
the persons that is also being
Pon
blamed here,
el
put the one that
video de Moreira.
the video where Moreira was speaking about Calderón.
Es creíble.
That one. It's
Pues que él tenía que ver
credible that
con
even
las
he
decisiones
had
que
to
se
do with
tomaban.
the decisions that were taken then.
Por eso
And that's why
es interesante el caso. Va a
it's
ayudar
really, this
mucho,
case is really interesting. It's going to help out a lot.
mucho, 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 mucho,
A lot.
para que nunca más
So this
se vinculen, se asocien autoridades con delincuencia.
so that the authorities and delinquencies get together again.
Si el gobierno
that keeps
tiene manos de
happening,
delincuentes.
What kind of guarantee do the people have if governments associate with them?
Puede ser que
It could be that you find it.
y es un
And
comportamiento
that
es
is
desde
a
el haya sido como haya
behavior from how they used to say, however it's done, with
sido.
whatever
El
is
cinismo
done.
de Fox de decir
The cynical ways of
Claro.
folks to say, yes,
que me metí a
of
impedir
course I got in there
de que
to
llegara López Obrador.
impede that Lopez Obrador
Claro que cargué
come
los
in.
dados.
Of course I rolled the dice.
Dicho por él.
Said by him.
Y todo esto también.
And all of this,
Espérate, el ponerse el uniforme.
put on the army uniform,
No sé por ahí.
not sure where
Salió una vez en una revista
there was a
que tenía soldaditos.
magazine with where he was handling little
No me gusta
soldiers.
meterme con la cosa familiar, pero
I don't want to get
para
into the
ubicarnos bien,
personal things,
en un
but
desfile,
so you can get a good picture in a
uniformó a sus hijos
In a parade, he even dressed his kids up as soldiers
cachucha y con
with their
camisas
little
militares.
army vests and hats.
Pero jamás
But never
seguidor de Franco.
a follower of
Ni de
Franco
Pinochet.
nor Pinochet.
O sea, ¿cuál es la sorpresa?
What's the surprise?
Y muchos de los que
And a lot of them,
nos combatieron durante
the
mucho
ones that
tiempo,
combated
años,
us for a long time, years,
y engañados,
and lied to,
manipulados, que
manipulated,
todavía,
that even still,
todavía
they're still
le siguen creyendo
keep
a
believing on him,
Fox y a Calderón.
Fox
Y
and
son capaces de decir,
Calderon,
"Me
and
equivoqué",
they're able to say, oh, well, I was
y no
wrong,
aceptan que es de sabios
and they don't accept
cambiar de opinión.
that is for the
Entonces,
just
cuando,
to change of opinion,
me dicen
admit the wrong, and then whoever says
tienen buen nivel
supposedly that have a
académico,
good academic level,
posgrados, estos,
doctorates and masters,
empiezan a
bachelor's
debatir.
degrees, and they start debating.
Lo que les digo es,
What I say to them is that I find them every now and then,
que me dicen, mire, yo a usted le
and that they
respeto,
tell me, hey,
pero yo
look,
creo
well,
que
I
usted
respect you, but I
está
think
haciendo
that
mal
you
las
are
cosas.
doing things wrong.
Está destruyendo a México.
You're
Todo lo que
destroying
dicen
Mexico.
estos
Everything
hombres.
that these guys say.
Le digo, bueno, esa es tu
And I said,
opinión.
well, that's your opinion.
Sigue pensando así.
Keep thinking like
Sigue
that.
tu camino.
Keep your way.
Ya,
And that's it.
¿para qué me voy a pelear?
Why am I going to argue with them?
Yo dedico mi trabajo
I
más
dedicate my work
a convencer
to convince
pues, a la gente que
all the people that
tiene una mente
have
más en
a open mind, more
se podría decir,
untouched
de más
beliefs,
buena fe,
better faith
no
per
una
se,
mente
not those minds that
ya
are
totalmente distorsionada.
totally distorted.
¿De ahí qué?
What
Se
to
va
do
a
there now?
lograr.
When are we going to get
Son
there?
casos rarísimos.
Those
Es
are
como si
rare
ahorita
cases.
López Dóriga
It's like
dijera,
if Lopez Dóriga would say,
o Ciro, ¿no?
or Ciro Gomez
Or Loretta
Leiva,
Mola.
or Loretta Mola would say,
Me equivoqué
I was wrong.
y asumo mi responsabilidad.
And I assume
Y ofrezco
my responsibility and I
disculpas.
offer my condolences and forgiveness.
Y tengo que
My
hacer
apologies.
periodismo distinto.
And I have to do a different way of
Porque
journalism
me gusta
because I like
mi oficio.
what I do.
Esta es mi vida.
That's my life. This is my life.
Y no me voy a retirar. Sencillamente
And
voy
I'm not going to retire.
a hacer otro
Simply,
tipo de
I'm going to
periodismo.
go and do a
Fíjense
different type of
No tan
journalism.
así, tan radical.
Look, not
Pero sí
such
hubo un cambio
so radical,
entre el
but there
Jacobo
was a
Zabludovsky de
change in
Televisa
between Jacobo
y el
Zabludovsky
Jacobo
from Televisa
Zabludovsky
and Jacobo
de Radio
Zabludovsky
Centro.
from Radio Centro.
Por eso no hay que descartar, ¿no?
That's why let's not
Se den
discard so that
estos cambios.
these changes are given.
Lo mismo
They're
en el
possible.
caso de los
Same thing in the case
políticos, de
of
los
the
intelectuales.
politicians, the intellectuals. Just imagine
Una autocrítica
an
de
auto-criticism
Krause,
from Krause. Can you imagine that?
o de Aguilar Camín,
Or Aguilar Camín.
Señor,
van a decir, bueno, ¿y por qué no la autocrítica del presidente? Porque pues
Okay, and they're going to say, well,
son
what about
tantos
the
mis críticos,
auto-criticism of the president? Well, that's because there's a lot of
que
them.
ya para qué.
And why am I going to do an auto-criticism if I'm already getting my share?
Hago la autocrítica si ya es mayoritaria
It's majority.
la crítica.
my
contra.
criticism against us.
Pero vamos a ver esto de
Let's see this video
cuando se peleaban.
when they used to fight amongst them.
Pero es muy importante.
But it's
porque
really important.
Es un testimonio así
Testimony, spontaneous testimony.
Calderón, el usurpador,
Calderón,
se
the
robó la presidencia,
faker
ha estado estos días muy boquiflojo,
that stole the presidency, has been very quiet with his
de
tweets,
mentiras, de insultos,
just
de
putting on
ataques.
insults.
Te quiero decir, Calderón,
And
a ti,
Calderón, I want to tell you, Felipe Calderón,
hombre del
the
crimen,
man
al
of
hombre
the
de la
crime,
guerra, al
the
hombre
man
de
of the
los
war,
asesinatos, al
the
hombre
man of
de
these
las
assassinations,
desapariciones, al hombre que se robó
disappearances, the man
como
that
poco
stole
hombre la
as
presidencia de
a
México. Te quiero decir
weak
que
guy
todos hombres no
the
tuitean.
presidency
Me acusaron
of
de muchas
the
cosas, y
country.
tengo las pruebas,
I was accused of a lot of
lo que
things.
dices-
I have the
de
proof
lo que dices es mentira.
of what you say
Enriquecimiento
is a
ilícito,
lie.
lavado de dinero, operaciones con recursos de
Enrichment,
procedencia
illicit
ilícita.
enrichments,
La PGR, cuando fuiste
money
presidente,
laundering, and
ilegalmente,
in
porque fuiste presidente,
PGR, when you were
dicho, me exoneró de todo. No
legitimately
existieron, insisto,
a president,
un solo medio probatorio.
they did
Yo
not
no soy
insist
ratero como
a
tú. Tú te robaste la
probatory
presidencia,
minimum.
eres el
I'm
mayor
not a
ladrón
thief
que
like
ha
you
tenido
are. You are the biggest
Tú sí
thief
estás
that Mexico has had.
embarrado con el narcotráfico.
You are involved with the
Estás hasta las chanclas.
narco trafficking. You're
Aquí
up.
estás, mira. Este es
There
el
you are.
pariente de tu compadre.
This
Sí, sí,
is the
el que le
family
diste
member of
protección.
your
Sí, sí, pero de
godfather, the one you gave protection to.
Acá
Don't
está. ¿Cómo tu
lie,
compadre,
Calderon. This is
con
how
tu
your
apoyo, le daba protección
godfather, with
para
your
quebrar
backup,
de coca? Eso no lo
gives
dices, ¿verdad,
the
Calderón?
operation
Me puse a
of
estudiar tu
cocaine.
vida.
I started
Sé dónde
studying
está
your
el
life.
origen de
I
tu
know
problema.
where the origin of your
Ojalá
problem
pudieras
is.
acudir con un especialista.
Hopefully that you could go with the
Problema
specialist
mental
because your
y de
mental
alcoholismo
problems
te
and
lleva a cometer
alcoholism
este tipo de cosas.
takes you to do these types of
Pero
things.
esa no es, digo, ya.
No, that's not the one.
No, es donde le dice, ¿te acuerdas?
It's the one he says,
Sí. Es que ese es lo demás. Eso
because
es-
the other one
es
is
accesorio.
something else.
No,
This
lo que
just
quiero es,
accessory, but the one I want,
sí, se los describo. Le dice, era todavía gobernador
he was still governor, Moreira,
dice que lo encuentra ya de presidente y le pregunta a Calderón sobre alguna persona
and Calderon asks him about certain people
supuestamente metida en
supposedly
la ilegalidad.
in the
Y
illegality,
Calderón le dijo,
and that Calderon said,
hay que
let's
acabarlo
finish him
o destruirlo o algo así. Una
or
expresión.
destroy him, something like that.
Y dice Moreira,
And then Moreira's answer
Felipe, me
is,
diste miedo.
Felipe, I was scared. Watch this.
¿Qué piensa usted de estos castigos a
What do you think
secuestradores,
about these
narcotraficantes?
punishments to
Debe ser un
narco
castigo
traffickers
legal,
and
¿no?
kidnappers? It has to be a severe
Que por ti
punishment.
mejor
You said
debería
that
ser
if it was up to you, it'd be better to be killing them. I was impacted with your response.
de un criminal.
It was a response of a criminal as Victoriano Huerta. You seem just like you have a bigger forehead, but crazier than Victoriano Huerta. Just control yourself. When you drink, don't tweet. You need to be calm.
Es real. Pero bueno, sí.
Sobre
That we
la
can't
misma
show.
idea.
And
Usted ha
so about the same
mencionado
thing,
En repetidas ocasiones, algunas referencias de lo que de lo mal
you've
que
repeated
actuaron
some
Calderón y
situations
Cedillo,
of
nuestros
the
presidentes,
ways that
cuando
Calderon and
después de
Cedillo
salir se van y buscan
acted,
empleo
and
y buscan
after they're done
acomodo
in the
en otras
presidency,
partes
they
en el
look for
exterior.
jobs elsewhere.
Pero quiero comentarle que en
But
el
I
caso,
wanna
por
comment
ejemplo, del aeropuerto
And tell you about
y de muchos lugares,
in the airport,
dejaron a sus
in a lot of
generaciones,
places,
dejaron
they left their
a sus
generations
subordinados,
and their
a sus
subordinates.
incondicionales,
They're
y aún ahorita
unconditional,
siguen ahí,
and even
siguen
now
causando
they are
daño.
there.
Es el caso, por ejemplo, del
They're
aeropuerto,
still doing damage.
donde
In the case of the airport,
vicealmirante
where the Admiral
Carlos
Carlos
Velázquez
Velázquez
ha hecho una buena labor de
has done
limpia,
a very
pero
good
siguen ahí.
work
Sigue gente que
of
desde
cleaning
hace
up, but they're still
10,
there.
15,
People
20
that
años
have been
siguen
there for
manejando
10,
muchas
15
cosas
years
internas.
are still
Y
operating
lo grave es que
internally,
se ponen
and
de
the grave
acuerdo,
thing is that they are in
eran
agreements
funcionarios y ahora
because
son
they were
trabajadores
functionary
o
people,
manejan
but
algún
now they
sector
are
interno del aeropuerto,
workers
en este caso
working
del
on an internal
transporte.
sector in the airport.
Ahora el
In this case,
vicealmirante ha estado
transportation,
poniendo
and
orden,
this admiral,
pero el grupo que sigue
they've been putting
sobreviviendo de
in
Calderón y
place
de
real good,
Fox
working, but the groups
está
that were set by
presentando
Calderon
mucha
and Fox
resistencia al cambio
is
y en
showing a
estos
lot of
días que se
resistancy
va a tomar
to the
alguna
change, and in
decisión
these
sobre
days
transporte
that the
terrestre,
transport
todos
is going to
el
be
transporte que
decided,
sirve
the
para
transport that
sacar a los
works to
pasajeros
take
que
out the
llegan,
passengers that arrive,
están preparando una decisión, pero el
they
grupo
are
contrario
preparing
está
this
preparando
decision, but
también
the
una respuesta que
people
será
against
seguramente un bloqueo, como los que
are
acostumbran
surely going to
hacer
be
al
starting a
aeropuerto.
blockade
¿Qué se puede hacer en estos casos? ¿Qué
around
se
the
debe
airport.
hacer
How can we do,
para
or what can we do?
erradicar a
What
estos
needs to be
grupos que
done to
siguen
eradicate
ahí?
these groups that
Poniéndose de
continue
acuerdo, incluso
getting into agreements
aumentando el
and, in
desorden,
fact,
aumentando los adeudos que
making bigger
llegan a más de
debts
7.500 millones de pesos,
that
aumentando
get
toda
up
una serie de
to
irregularidades
7,500
para que
million
no
pesos,
paguen, se ponen de acuerdo para que no le paguen al aeropuerto y se reparten las
and so they
ganancias
don't
con
pay the
algunos
airport and they
funcionarios que
share
siguen ahí
the
puestos y
earnings
los
to
que antes
some
eran funcionarios y ahora
public
son
workers
dirigentes. ¿Qué se puede hacer?
that
¿Se
are
puede
sharing all that
erradicar toda
money,
esta
and
situación,
also the
señor?
ones that
Sí, se
were
va avanzando, pero es
directors but now are
una
workers.
limpia.
Yes, we're working on that, but
Yo lo
it's a
dije
way of
desde el
cleaning,
principio,
and I've said it in the beginning,
de arriba hacia abajo,
is from up
y se
and heading down.
tiene que terminar de limpiar
We need to
como las
finish cleaning
escaleras.
up like the stairs.
Pero tienes razón,
But you're right.
es tan grande el gobierno,
This is so big. This government thing is so big.
necesita de tantos servidores públicos que muchos
A lot of public servants
se
are needed. That a
enquistaron
lot of them
y
were embedded
en la administración,
in the administration.
y quienes llegaron
And whoever arrived later
no los cambiaron, los mantuvieron
didn't change them, they kept them.
y
And
no están de acuerdo con la
they're not in
transformación,
agreement with the transformation
porque ellos se formaron
because they were formed
en el antiguo régimen
in the old
con las prácticas de
regiments
antes
with the old
y no
practices.
tienen ni siquiera la honestidad.
And they don't even have the
Para
honesty to say,
Estoy en desacuerdo
I am not in
y
agreements,
presento mi renuncia,
and I'll present my,
sino que se quedan ahí agazapados haciendo labor en contra. Hace poco, por ejemplo,
and I can present my
perdió un cambio en la Secretaría de
resignation.
Economía.
There was a
Y sale
change
una subsecretaria, que había estado desde el principio, pero que venía de tiempo atrás.
in the IRS office, the secretary, but
Estaba saliendo. Y a los
she
15
was on her way
días,
out,
no,
but in
creo que
in 15 days after,
sí,
or
cuando mucho 15
about
días,
15 days,
la primera marcha de los
the first
conservadores.
march of the conservatives,
Y terminando de ser subsecretaria de Economía,
and as soon as she
a la
finished
marcha
Secretary of Economy, she went to the
de los conservadores.
walkout
Entonces, 4 años.
of conservatism. So it was 4
Ahí.
years she was
en
there
contra.
against.
O sea, el otro señor que fue rector, que tenía algo de medio ambiente,
And there was this other
Chanucán,
director,
manejaba también un
Chanukan. He
fideicomiso.
also operated
4
this.
años. Y a los 4 años se dio cuenta
4 years he
de
was
que
operating as escrow.
el gobierno nuestro era incompetente.
He was working there 4 years, and
Contrario a
contrary
medio ambiente.
to
4
the
años
environments.
Pero así todavía hay.
And just like that,
Sin embargo,
people are still
bueno, pues
working.
todavía sigue, ¿no? El que se limpie.
And they still need to be done.
Del gobierno. Se ha avanzado muchísimo. Mucho. Pero sí se dan estas cosas. Pero imagínense, ¿quién manejaba
Just imagine
el aeropuerto de la Ciudad de México?
who was operating the international airport.
El Mayo, 2 sexenios.
El Mayo. Two presidencies.
35-45. Entonces,
They applied that 35-45 code.
se está limpiando.
So,
Pero ¿qué no quedaron ahí todavía?
weren't they still there?
Algunos. Yo no estoy diciendo
Aren't there still there? A
que
few of them?
sean narcotraficantes.
I'm not saying that they're
Sino de los que
narco
se quedaron
traffickers,
callados,
but the ones that didn't say
de los que
anything,
no hacían nada.
the ones that didn't do anything.
Claro que sí.
Of course.
No, si por eso es importante esta transformación.
And that's why this
No voy a
transformation
dejar
is
de
important.
insistir. El porfiriato fueron
I'm not going to stop insisting.
34
Porfiriato
años.
was 34 years long.
Y costó, bueno,
And it cost us,
mañana vamos a recordar
we're going to be reminding
asesinato.
everybody tomorrow, the assassination
del presidente Madero
of President Madero,
y del vicepresidente Pino Suárez.
Vice President Pino Suárez.
Costó muchísimo. Bueno,
It was a lot
produjo
of,
una revolución.
it did produce a
34
revolution
años.
for
El
34 years.
neoporfirismo,
Neoporfirism,
este que padecemos o que padecimos, corrupto,
corrupt, the one that we're going through,
36 años.
36 years.
De 1983
From
a
83
finales del 2018.
to 2018.
36 años.
36 years.
Imagínense la influencia
Just imagine the influence level
que tuvieron
that they had,
los que defendían este modelo
who defended this model
en lo académico,
in academical,
en lo intelectual,
intellectual,
en lo económico, en lo
economical, and political. Just a second here. See what happened. Un momento, por favor, gracias. Continuamos. Just imagine the influence.
que tuvieron
Sorry about that. We're back again. A little bit technical problems, but we're back.
los que defendían este modelo.
Look at just the difference that these people that defended this
En
model
lo académico,
had.
en lo intelectual,
Academical,
en
intellectual,
lo económico, en lo
economical,
político.
political.
Entonces,
So then
es un proceso
it's
Pero
a
sí hay que
process
arrancar
that we
de
need to
raíz
tear
este mal.
from scrap,
No
from the bottom,
dejar de insistir en el cambio.
not to
Eso
stop
que tú
insisting in
planteas
change, and
es
that what you're
cierto.
planting is
Sin
true.
embargo, la persona que está
But
a
in
cargo
fact,
del aeropuerto,
give me a second here, I'm gonna refresh. That we hold on.
que tuvieron los que defendían este modelo. 34 años. Está enfrentando
Hold on a minute.
lo intelectual, lo que padecimos, corrupto, 36 años.
36 years.
De 1983
from 83
a finales del 2018.
to 2018.
Que tuvieron
That they had their chance there too.
los que defendían este modelo.
Those who were defending the model.
En lo académico.
Academically.
Dejar de insistir en el cambio. Eso que tú planteas. Pero sí hay que arrancar de raíz este mal. No dejar de insistir en el cambio. Eso
Not
que tú planteas,
stop insisting, but that what you're talking about is true.
Sin embargo, la persona
But in
que está a
fact,
cargo
the
del
person that is in
aeropuerto
charge
es un hombre
of the
íntegro,
airport is
está
a
haciendo bien las cosas,
integral person
más que
and is doing well, but
está enfrentando
he's just confronting
pues resistencias. Eso
resistance.
es lo mismo que estamos enfrentando.
And it's the same thing that we are all confronting nationally.
Que si se construye la
That if
nueva vialidad al aeropuerto,
the new way to the airport,
que le hicimos como
that we
la
did it
película de
like
Calzón
that
sin inspector.
movie about Calzón sin inspector.
Así era, ¿no?
That's how it was, right?
Que iba a llegar el inspector.
Inspector was going to arrive.
Que entonces estaba todo abandonado.
And everything was abandoned.
Echaron a andar el centro de salud y
and then the
los enfermos eran unos
health
pesistas.
center and the ones that were sick, these
Porque venía el inspector.
bodybuilders and inspector was
Y
coming
así le
in.
hacían, ¿no? Que
That's how they would
inauguraban
do it. They would
el agua
inaugurate the
potable y abrían
drinking
llaves
water.
en el agua.
They would open up the water. Water would come out.
Or hace poco el gobernador del PRI de Chihuahua,
Governor from El PRI from Chihuahua is now detained.
Duarte, se
Duarte
aventó la inauguración de un hospital
He did a hospital
en
inauguration
Ciudad Juárez.
in
Ahí
Ciudad
está la gente de
Juárez.
Ciudad Juárez, que lo sabe.
People over there in Ciudad Juárez know.
Que era nada más la fachada.
Only the
Todo lo demás
front.
estaba en construcción. Obra negra.
The rest was still
cortó
being
el listón.
constructed. And he cut the ribbon.
Entonces,
And so,
Loret, que vivieron todo eso,
Loret, that lived
se
all
callaron.
those, didn't say anything.
La señora del milenio, que es
Lady
lo
from
mismo,
Milenio is the same thing.
pues piensan que somos iguales.
They think we're the same.
Entonces se inaugura la vialidad, ¿no? Y la nota es
And then the
que todo fue
roadway
una farsa
inaugurates,
porque se
and
cerró.
the note is that
Afortunadamente,
everything was closed, supposedly.
la gente
And fortunately,
está
the
muy
people are really
atenta.
awake now.
Y todo esto también a nosotros nos sirve, todo este cuestionamiento, aunque
And
sea
all this questioning,
calumnioso, a mí me ayuda mucho para que los servidores públicos
it helps me a lot so that the public
no
servants
se confíen y no se
don't
embolden.
trust themselves and get adjusted.
Ayuda,
That helps.
no le hace que sean exagerados,
Doesn't matter if they're
y
exaggerating
que haya calumnia.
and that there's lies
Casi todos los días, sobre
almost
lo que
every
hacemos.
day.
Pero esto que lleve a que
But all this that has been
todo
taken
mundo
to, that everybody
a portarse bien.
will
Y
behave well.
lo dije en mi toma de posición.
And I said it when I was
Que yo era
taking the
partidario
presidency that I was partisan,
de que
that
pensáramos más en el futuro
we would think more in the
que en el
future
pasado.
than in the past.
Y que si aplicaba lo del pasado, con más
And
razón,
that the past
el que cometiera
was
un
applied,
delito en el futuro
and
sería
that
castigado.
people that committed a crime would be punished,
Y eso está vigente.
and that is
No hay
still on.
impunidad.
There's no impunity.
Ahora que
Now then,
la
that
Auditoría Superior de la Federación
Superior
sacó
Auditory
algunas,
Federation
observaciones,
pulled out these observations, of
la
course.
instrucción que di es,
The instruction that I
revisen a
gave
fondo.
is check.
Y en el caso de
In depth.
Segalmex,
In the case of
Ya hay una
Sedalmex,
denuncia penal.
there's a denouncement, a
Desde hace
penal
tiempo.
denouncement, long
No
on,
sé,
going.
pero
I'm not sure,
no
but
se tolera la corrupción.
corruption
de
won't
nadie.
be tolerated.
De nadie, sea quien sea.
Whoever it is,
Señor,
Porque no
por-
somos iguales.
we're not the same.
Somos iguales. Entonces, en el caso, por ejemplo,
In the case, for
estos,
example, of these
acusados de corrupción en la
corruption accused
es
in
interesantísimo
Benito
el tema,
Juárez, the situation is really interesting. Give me a
porque
second. Because
es donde ha sido,
it's
donde ha
where
habido más
there's been more
simpatías
sympathy
por el PAN.
for El PAN.
Ahí pueden poner
There they can put
a quien sea de candidato
whoever they want
y siempre ganan.
as a candidate and they'll win.
Yo antes en Tabasco, cuando
Before in
empezábamos
Tabasco, where we would start
en la lucha,
in the
Porque como-
struggle,
estaba desatada la compra del
but
voto
since all this purchasing of
y
votes
todos los
and
medios, ¿no?,
all the media
en contra de nosotros. Decía yo
against
que
us,
si ponían de candidata a una
and I
vaca,
would say that if they put a cow as a candidate, the cow would win.
guardadas las proporciones y con todo respeto a las
Okay, with
vacas.
all due respect to the cows, proportionately speaking.
Pero en el caso
But in the
de Benito
case
Juárez,
of Benito Juárez,
la del Valle, el candidato
the candidate
que sacó más votos
that had more
en la
votes
última elección federal
in the last federal election
fue de Benito Juárez, del PAN.
was from Benito Juárez, from El PAN.
Increíble.
Incredibly enough.
Y ahora
And now,
se destapa todo esto,
all this is uncovered,
que los pinta como son,
that it shows them as they are.
pero no es no es nuevo.
This isn't new.
Ya se sabía
It
de
was
la
known
corrupción,
about the
pero
corruption.
aún
But
así
even then,
seguían votando por el PAN.
they kept voting for El PAN.
Yo recuerdo, una vez lo conté,
I remember I even spoke about it
de
once.
que yo creo que he ganado
That-
una o dos veces
I think once or twice in Benito Juárez
como candidato a la presidencia.
as a
Creo que gané
candidate
ahora,
for the presidency. I think I won this time
creo que en el 2006.
and 2006, I think.
Pero los jefes delegacionales, que ahora se llaman alcaldes,
But the mayors
y una vez
didn't.
Estábamos muy bien posicionados.
We were really well placed.
Entonces le dijimos, no,
And then we
ahora
said, no,
se va a ganar.
now's the time.
Nada más que hay que
Benito
buscar un
Juárez, we
buen
were going to
candidato.
win, but let's find a good candidate.
Entonces, pues vamos a buscar un buen candidato.
So let's
¿Qué
go
mejor
find one.
candidato
What better candidate
que el maestro Bernardo Bates,
than Bernardo Bates,
vecino de la Benito Juárez,
neighbor of the Benito Juárez area, Catholic,
además auténtico.
aside from being
Hay
authentic,
mucho católico
there's a lot of Catholics that are fake.
Señor, por último,
Pero permíteme, es que es interesante.
But
esto.
it's interesting. Give me a second.
Maestro universitario,
University teacher.
había estado en el PAN,
He was in El PAN.
2 o 3 veces diputado federal,
2 or 3 times he was federal
íntegra,
servant and with an integral attitude.
procurador, la Ciudad de México, honesto. Y ahí va el maestro de candidato.
Security advisor
¿Qué queremos?
in Mexico City. And he goes as a candidate, and guess what?
Y si me
He
preguntan,
lost. If you
¿contra
ask
quién?
me against who,
No sabría decirle.
I wouldn't know.
No sabría decirle.
I wouldn't know who.
No me acuerdo. No.
I
Nadie
don't remember
sabría.
that part, and nobody remembers.
Entonces ahora que está saliendo todo esto,
So now that all of this is coming out, hopefully,
y y reaccionen los ciudadanos,
and the citizens get
aunque ahí está
take on,
hasta la sede del Reforma ahí en esa delegación. O sea, ahí está el edificio que les hizo Salinas a los del Reforma.
there's a building that
Entonces,
Salinas
está
made for
difícil,
them.
pues, el asunto, pero
So it's really difficult, but
hay que seguir insistiendo.
we're going to keep insisting.
precisamente con esto finalizo, señor
Precisely,
presidente.
I'll close with
Quería
this, Mr.
preguntarle
President.
que
I want to
a
ask you,
raíz de esta
in the
conclusión
view
del
of this
juicio
conclusion
a
of this
García Luna,
trial to Garcia Luna,
que viene a significarse por ser el
that comes
uno de los
to
más altos
signify one of the
exfuncionarios de México,
biggest
juzgado en
ex-functionaries
Estados
in
Unidos.
Mexico,
No se despertará la conciencia de la gente
tried in United States, wouldn't the conscience of the people would come to know that el PAN has done a lot of damage to the country with these types of public servants to exploit all they could of the resources of the company, that this is the time now that the citizens know that these are the ways that el PAN left, and then in these elections coming up in June, that they can have a response with a new attitude of the citizens. Do you think this would be an awakening of the citizens? Yes, the people are they're up and running. Now it's other mentality is different. This minority, thievery minority, still thinks there's this other minority that the people are dumb because they don't respect the people. Dumb is the one that thinks the people are dumb. People are really conscious now. Proof. Evidence? Well, what happened in Tamaulipas last Sunday? And what it's going to keep happening on Sundays. This Sunday coming up. If it wasn't for the people, they would have they would have dropped us already. They would have me, as they used to say, face down. Who would save me? Who would take me out of that? The people did. It's a big part of all this. But they don't believe that, these minorities. They don't respect the people. Much less do they love the people.
Entonces, claro que la gente ya despertó.
Of course the people are awoke. Do you think that whoever comes in on Sunday to manifest themselves against us, to back up the corruption,
a Calderón, a García Luna, a Fox, viene así, alegre, consciente de que está defendiendo una causa justa?
Do you think they're going to be here because they're defending a just cause?
No, es muy lamentable.
It's really sad, the situation.
No, es gente que de una u otra manera se benefició con la corrupción. Porque Krause se benefició con la corrupción, ¿o no? Aguilar Camín se benefició con la corrupción. Los medios de información se beneficiaron con la corrupción. No todos, desde luego. Los empresarios traficantes.
And do you think that Camille and Loret benefited from the corruption? Yes. Not all of them, not all the journalists. What is it so strange now that they will be there and ask the people to be there to protest against
de quien o de quienes estamos luchando por una transformación, por acabar con los privilegios, con la
to finish with the privileges,
racismo,
to finish with racism, conspiracies, classism.
O sea, es normal y es muy bueno.
That is normal and it's good.
Ya lo he dicho, es un striptease.
I've said it before, it's a striptease.
Fuera máscaras.
Out shades, out masks. The king is naked.
A ver qué va a decir Krause.
See what Krause has to say
sobre García Luna.
about García Luna.
O Aguilar Camín.
Or Aguilar Camín, what is he going to say?
No, Marín sí ese va a decir que No, yo creo que sí.
Couldn't hear the question, but
Sí pueden.
I
Sí,
think they could.
Mire,
Look, what conservatism has always existed
nada más
in Mexico.
Que la doctrina,
the only thing that the doctrine, as Monse would say, of the right is hypocrisy.
Entonces,
and so,
fingían
they would lie
ser
to be independent, be liberal,
ser de la sociedad civil,
be from civil society,
antipartidistas, incluso
anti-partisan,
antipriistas,
even anti-pri
o antipanistas,
or anti-pan governors. And not anymore, because now that we are in a transformation process, it's time for definition. There's no middle point. But conservatism has always been here. I was telling you the other day that when we thought that the risk was a way of an invasion, and that the conservatives were fortifying themselves in Mexico.
Prácticamente había desaparecido el conservadurismo después del gran fracaso del triunfo de la República sobre el Imperio. Después de que se había expulsado a los extranjeros, incluso
failure after the foreign people were expelled.
Muy
that failure was so defined to respect
a nuestra patria del fusilamiento de Maximiliano
and the killing of Maximiliano, to go look for them. Triumph the Republic when Juárez comes in. That this is a historical fact.
El otro momento estelar cuando entra Madero.
When Madero comes in, for example.
1867-1911.
1887, 1911. The contrary
de los invasores estadounidenses. En el 47.
Contrary of what happened in 47.
Tremendo. Fíjense que
1847. That on those days, all Mexicans.
Habían unos conservadores llamados los polcos.
There were some conservatives called the polcos, whom were the only ones
no participaron en la defensa.
Didn't participate in the defense of the.
Pero qué doloroso que aquí
people
izaron la bandera estadounidense. Hay un grabado.
And they raised
a ver si lo consigues por ahí.
The American flag, and there's a recording.
Estadounidenses.
There's a drawing of the U.S. when they take the city.
Y hay como
there's some very poor, humble people
agarrando una piedra,
grabbing a rock.
A ver si la consigues. Sí. Están las fuerzas estadounidenses entrando.
Yes, so they're coming in through here, the U.S. Army.
Sí. Sí. Es de los mejores grabados Lo pueden encontrar, ¿eh? A ver, ponlo.
Okay, you found it? Okay, put it on. There's the flag of the U.S. here in the building, government building, and it's against the contrary to the entry. That one, look at this.
Mire.
Look at that.
Este es México.
This is Mexico.
Esa es la entrada.
That's the entrance
De las fuerzas invasoras.
of the
Y luego,
invasion forces of the U.S. And then when they come in, the French
es otro momento, ¿no?
is another time.
Se vuelve loca.
But right there,
la aristocracia.
The aristocracy goes crazy. Conservatism goes nuts. Instead of this, they would applaud.
Del bloque conservador.
Of the conservative bloc.
Bueno, lo contrario a eso.
Contrary to that is the entrance of Juárez, triumphant.
Y luego la entrada de Madero.
And then Madero's entrance.
En 1911.
In
creo que fue
1911, I think it was May or June.
Del 11. En mayo se fue Porfirio Díaz.
Porfirio Díaz left in May on a train
Veracruz y de ahí Lipiranga.
to Veracruz to Lipiranga.
Y luego entra triunfal.
And then Madero comes in triumphant.
Bueno, cuando el triunfo de Juárez se pensaba ya.
When the triumph of Juárez was thought of,
no hay conservadurismo.
They thought, well, there's no more conservatism. It's over. No.
Retoñó.
It resurfaced.
O mejor dicho, nunca se fueron.
Or better said, they never left.
Ahí con Porfirio Díaz.
With Porfirio Díaz, they came back
a fortalecerse.
To fortify themselves again.
Incluso la revolución no pudo. Entonces,
even the revolution couldn't do it. So then how many more are coming? A lot. They're millions.
Los conservadores.
Conservatives.
Nosotros tenemos el apoyo como del 70%.
We have the backing of 70%
de la población.
Of the
pero 25-30%
people, but 25-30%
apoyan al Partido Conservador.
They go.
Y eso es bueno,
the population goes with the opposition, but that's good. That's democracy.
Nada más que sí.
Only that.
Con todo respeto.
With all due respect,
ser conservador.
I would be ashamed of myself to be a conservative.
Y parafraseando a Juárez, diría.
And paraphrasing Juárez, I would say, the triumph of reaction is morally impossible.
Es como decir.
It's like saying.
Ahora.
Nowadays.
Como se decía hace poco.
As used to be said,
el que no brinque es charro.
Whoever doesn't jump is charro.
Ya vámonos a desayunar, ¿no?
All right, let's go get some breakfast. All right, that's enough.
Les voy a dar un.
Okay, I'm going to give you some information that is important.
Sí.
Yes, Nicaragua.
De Nicaragua. Sí, ya
From Nicaragua. Yeah, I knew you were asked that. So, look, we are respectful, and what we want is to look that with dialogue, that the differences are resolved,
muchos opositores de otros países
A lot of opposing people from other countries choose Mexico to come to have dialogue.
porque es un país
Because it's a
que
country
les garantiza
that guarantees
libertades.
liberties,
Y eso es lo que buscamos.
and this is what we're looking for, basically.
Y el caso de los
In the case
sandinistas
of the
es un asunto para
Sandinistas, it's a business of ours,
muy
very
complicado.
complicated.
Me hace recordar
Reminds me of
el poemínimo
that
de Efraín Huerta.
minimum poem of Efraín Huerta,
De Ernesto Cardenal,
but now I'm going to tell you about Ernesto
que
Cardenal.
dice palabras más, palabras menos, cuando estaba en oposición.
When I was in the opposition, of course, more or less, this extraordinary priest from the Sandinista era, poets,
me mandó una felicitación que la
he
guardo
sent me
cuando
a
triunfé, que estaba feliz. Su poemínimo dice: ayer
he sent me a
me contaron
he congratulated
que
me,
andabas con otro.
and he sent me this poem stating, they told me yesterday that you were hanging with someone else,
A escribir
and I went to my room to write
ese artículo contra el gobierno
that article against the government because for the one that I'm imprisoned for.
Ese era Cardenal.
He was a cardinal, Sandinista.
Bueno, todos de una u otra forma
Everybody,
vivimos
in a certain way, lived what was the Sandinista movement.
Y nos da mucha tristeza. La
And it's
división
really saddened
que se
to
produjo.
hear about the division that was produced.
Ah, aquí está. Mire lo que me mandó.
And here's, look at what the cardinal sent me.
Me contaron que estabas
They told me that you were in love
y entonces
of somebody
me
else.
fui a mi cuarto y escribí
And so I went to my room and I wrote this article against the government
por el que estoy preso.
for the one that I am imprisoned for.
Ese era el poeta
That was the poet,
revolucionario. Y esta es la carta.
revolutionary. And this is the letter.
Estoy
Estoy,
estático
I am
por la
ecstatic
noticia de un triunfo
because of the news of a
que es el
triumph
triunfo de México, de nuestra América Latina,
that is a triumph for Mexico, of our
de
America,
nuestro planeta.
Latin America, and at the end of the day, of our planet.
De Managua, 4 de julio del
And this was sent from Managua, 2018.
¿Qué decía
Well,
nuestro gran poeta Efraín Huerta?
our great poet,
Dice, "Mi maestro,
Efraín Huerta,
el
would say,
marxismo,
my master is
no los puedo entender.
the Marxism. I can't
Unos están
understand
en la
you.
cárcel,
Some are in jail
otros en el poder.
and others in power.
Así estamos en caso
That's how we are.
del sandinismo. A mis
In the
amigos
case of
sandinistas,
Sandinista, my friends,
unos están en la cárcel,
some are
otros
in jail and others in power.
en el destierro.
And,
Y otros
no,
en el
not in
poder.
power. Some in power and others
Entonces, ¿qué
out
es
of their
lo que
land.
puedo decir ahora? Que siempre buscamos nosotros
So what can I say?
que se llegara a un acuerdo,
Some others are vanished.
que se liberara a los presos. Y voy a dar a conocer una carta que envié el 1 de
What can I say
diciembre
but
del año
to
pasado
free the imprisoned? And I'm going to read to you a letter that I sent last year to the Nicaraguan president,
Daniel Ortega.
Daniel Ortega.
¿La pones?
And put that on for me, if you have it.
No había querido hablar.
I didn't want to speak about that, but
Lo que se debe de buscar es
what needs to be done is
la reconciliación
reconciliation,
y la unidad.
unity,
Es que se tiene que insistir en eso.
that we have to insist on
Es
that.
posible dialogar.
It's possible to have dialogue.
Es posible dialogar.
It's
Todos
possible to do
dialogan.
it. Everybody can speak. Everybody can
Hasta
dialogue.
los
Even
más
the ones that
acérrimos, enemigos.
are more tied up, the
Nosotros
enemies that are
planteando
against us.
diálogo en el caso
We are
de la
planting
guerra
dialogue in the case of war,
de Rusia con Ucrania.
Russia
Lo
against
planteé
Ukraine.
desde hace
I
6 meses,
proposed it and said it about
voy a
6
seguir
months ago,
planteando.
and I'm going to keep putting it
porque no se puede
because it can't be
mantener una guerra. Es lo más irracional
maintaining a war.
que
It's
existe.
the most irrational thing that exists.
Y tiene que
And it
buscarse
has
una
to
salida.
be
Y propuse
an exit. And I
una
propose
mediación
a mediation
del secretario general de la ONU,
of Secretary from ONU,
del primer
from
ministro
the
Modi de la India
United
y el Papa
Nations,
Francisco.
Prime Minister Modi from India,
Con más
and
razón,
Pope
en el caso de
Francis,
nuestros hermanos,
with more reason in the case of our Nicaraguan
¿por qué no?
friends.
Del diálogo.
Why not the dialogue?
Vean mi carta ahora.
Watch my letter. Look at the letter.
Decirles de que
That's what I would tell them.
México siempre
Tell them that Mexico always
ha estado
has been opened
a dar protección
to provide protection
y hacer valer
and
el
make
derecho de asilo.
valid the right to asylum.
No, sencillamente si se solicita, si se pide,
Only
si
if
lo
it's asked
consideran,
for, if it's considered
posible,
if it's considered possible.
nosotros estamos en la mejor disposición.
We are in the best of our disposition.
¿Por qué no vemos la carta? No me voy a enganchar.
I'm not. Why don't we read the letter? I'm not gonna get into an argument here with you.
Planteo.
Look at what I'm planting. Look at what I posted.
José Daniel Ortega Saavedra, presidente de la República de Nicaragua.
So Gabriel Ortega,
Presente.
present.
Permito transmitirle
I allow myself to transmit to you a courteous salute and the best wishes to you and your family and all the brethren peoples of Nicaragua. This is 1st of December, almost 3 months ago. Recently, we've received diverse expressions of bad will from citizens of Nicaragua, members of diverse political parties, and that are now imprisoned in your country. Among them, in particular, worries us the case of Ms. Doña María Telles, whose health, so we hear, is weak and delicate, and in consequence, we want to reiterate to you, because we had already planted this before, in a personal way, through the diplomacy, reiterate our disposition and will of our people to receive Ms. Telles in Mexico, to avoid any propaganda end or protagonists
con el único propósito
with the only purpose
de que reciba la atención
that she
médica
receives the
necesaria y
medical
pueda
attention
permanecer en nuestro
necessary and
país,
that can
si así
stay
lo
in our
solicita
country so
y de
she
su voluntad.
should desire and is her own will.
Este planteamiento responde a razones
This
humanitarias.
question
Reitero,
responds to humanitarian
no nos mueve otro
reasons. I
interés más que
reiterate,
la
there is
hermandad
nothing of
con el
interest
pueblo
here
de
but
Nicaragua.
our brothership for
Nuestra
our
historia
Nicaraguan
común y compromiso
brothers
de
and
México de
sisters.
siempre abrir las
With
puertas
our
a
compromise in
quienes
Mexico
lo
is to
consideran
always open our
indispensables
doors for them who consider it
para seguridad y
indispensable for
protección,
security and protection,
más allá de ideologías
furthermore than
o posturas
ideologies
políticas.
or political posture.
También le expreso
As well, I express
que
to
en
you
ningún momento
that in no
nos
moments,
prestaríamos a
any
ser
case, we
usados
would lend
en
ourselves to
campaña contra
be
Nicaragua y
used
su
in campaign
gobierno,
against Nicaragua and its
alentada por
governments,
intereses ajenos
pushed
a
by
los de nuestros pueblos.
different agendas against our peoples.
Sigue. Considero que es un gesto
I
humanitario
consider it a
hacia la señora
humanitarian
Telles o de cualquier otra de
gesture
las personas hoy
towards Ms. Telles or any other people jailed.
Considero que un gesto humanitario hacia la
I
señora
consider
Telles
that a
o de
humanitarian
cualquier otra de las personas hoy recluidas
thinking and of
de
any other
ninguna
people that are
forma
jailed that in
iría
no way
en
would
desdoro de la política
go
soberana de
far away
Nicaragua
from the political
y sería
sovereignty
recibido muy
of Nicaragua,
positivamente por la
and it would
comunidad
be received
internacional,
very
en particular de quienes
possibly
somos
by
sus
the
hermanos
international
y
community,
amigos.
by those who are your
En ese
brothers and
sentido,
sisters.
no
In
es
that
nuestra
sense,
intención
it is not
hacer
our
ninguna
intention to
expresión
do any
pública sobre el
public
tema que nos
expression
ocupa
about the subject that we are
y
talking about,
así considerarse
and so it be
cualquier
considered
comunicación al respecto
any
sería,
communication about this
según lo
would
determine
be
el gobierno de
according
Nicaragua, sin otro
the government
particular
of
así lo
Nicaragua and
considerara
its
mi más
determination, and we
alta
consider
consideración.
your most
Ya cuando
important
deciden
necessity and will always
tomar
be
la última
with you, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador.
determinación
So when the last determination was
de
taken to
sacar
take
al
out
exilio a Estados Unidos a un
the
grupo de nicaragüenses,
U.S. with a group of Nicaraguenses from the U.S. to exile,
ya pues para nosotros,
for us,
sobre todo nuestros adversarios, ¿no?
and mainly
Que
our adversaries
no entienden
that don't
cómo
understand
debemos de
the
actuar
how we should
en estos
act
casos.
in these types of
Y nunca van
cases,
a estar de acuerdo con nosotros.
and they're never going to be
Pues empiezan a decir,
in accordance with us.
¿qué pasa con
They'll
México?
start, well, what's happening with Mexico?
Entonces, ahora
And now,
vamos
of
a
course,
conocer esto. Y también les informo
we let this known, and as well, I'll
que
inform you that
han habido
there's been
personas de Nicaragua
people from Nicaragua
que han pedido
that have
estar en
asked
México.
to be in Mexico.
Me lo informó el secretario de Relaciones Exteriores.
I was informed by the Secretary of Foreign Relations, and he consulted me, and the instruction is that everybody
Que están en nuestro país
who want to be in our country
tienen las puertas abiertas
have open doors,
y son bien recibidos.
and they will be more than welcome.
No hubo respuesta.
Was there a response to that letter? No, there wasn't.
Entonces, asilo,
So then, asylum,
nacionalidad,
nationality,
lo que ellos quieran.
whatever they want.
Y también coincido de
And
que
then I coincide with
pues la nacionalidad no se puede perder.
that nationality cannot be lost by decree.
Me acuerdo del poeta.
I remember this poet, Solón Argüello,
Que era nicaragüense,
that he was Nicaraguan,
que luchó aquí.
that he fought here in favor of Madero,
Y que por cierto
and in fact,
es familiar de Dora María.
Family member of Miss Maria.
Sí. Luchó aquí, luchó allá.
He fought here and he fought there.
La verdad.
The truth.
Los latinoamericanos.
Latin Americans.
Y decíamos que
and we said all of them that were born in this continent and the ones that we were born in any continent, that we act as brothers. What we need to hold on to is the universal fraternity. The homeland is the entire world.
Entonces, quería nada más aclarar eso.
So I just wanted to clear that up and say that hopefully and things would get resolved well in the brother country of Nicaragua.
Y vamos a seguir actuando de manera responsable.
And we're going to keep acting in a prudent way.
Sí, normales.
Yes, normal.
Normales. Con todos los gobiernos del mundo.
With all the governments of the world.
No, porque nosotros no podemos.
No, because we can't
alejarnos.
Move away from the possibility to help
en la reconciliación.
In reconciliation.
Sí. Voy porque
yes, I'll be there because there's a cargo plane.
No, viene
and
después de la mañanera. No,
I'll be after the mañanera or the conference. How are we going to suspend the mañanera?
A ver.
What, do you guys want to suspend this
no, acá.
Conference?
Muy bien, nos vemos.
Okay, very good. We'll talk to you soon. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Angel Ramirez. We'll be here with you tomorrow at the same time. Of course, we're going to be a little late, not in the morning anymore, so we're going to be doing this at night. Thank you very much for being here once again. And hopefully that you can join us every day just to leave your like. Gracias por estar aquí, gracias por estar con nosotros. Nombre es Ángel Ramírez. Para AZTECRON Entertainment siempre vamos a estar grabando las mañaneras de López Obrador. Obviamente vamos a cambiar el horario a la tarde, entonces espero que no sea mucho eso, alguna molestia, pero siempre pueden llegar un ratito, escuchar un poco, y lo bueno es que lo pueden adelantar o atrasar a su gusto. Si les pedimos que nos apoyen en el canal, dejando ese like y pues apoyándonos los que puedan, gusten y quieran. Ahí abajito están los links para todo eso. Cuídense mucho, un servidor Ángel Ramírez. Nos vemos mañana en la tarde con la siguiente transmisión de la mañanera de Andrés Manuel López Obrador, presidente de México. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.